Alright, we are moving into the next section called loop structure. Loop structures are one of the most important parts of programming. The for loop and the while loop provide a way to repeatedly run a block of codes repeatedly. A while loop will iterate until a certain condition has been met. If at any point after an iteration that condition is no longer satisfied, the loop terminates. A for loop will iterate over a sequence of values and terminate when the sequence has ended. You can instead include conditions within the for loop to decide whether it should terminate early or you should simply let it run its course. Right, let's just run this and see what happens. I is equal to 5 while I is greater than 0. Okay, we reduce or take 1 or minus or deduct 1 of it and then print I am looping how many more to go. So this 0 refers to this I here. I'm looping 4 more to go all the way down to 0. With the while loop, we need to make sure that something actually changes from iteration to iteration, and otherwise you have an infinity loop, so that the loop actually terminates. In this case, we use the shorthand I minus equal 1, short for I is equal to I minus 1, so that the values of I get smaller with each iteration. Eventually, I will be reduced to 0, rendering the condition false and exiting the loop. A for loop iterates a set number of times, determine when you state the entry into the loop. In this case, we are iterating over the list, returned from the range, and the for loop selects a value from the list in order and temporarily assigns the value of I to it so that operations can be performed with the value. Range is 5, remember 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Print I am looping and add 1 as we go. There you go. Notice in this for loop, we use the in keyword. Use of in keyword, this one here, in keyword, is not limited to checking for membership, as in the if statement example. You can iterate over any condition with a for loop by using the in keyword. In this next example, we will iterate over a set because we want to check for containment and add to a new set. Okay, so looking at this, my list, we have these, memo list also have this, my new list is a set. For animal in my list, okay, so my list meaning we are actually going through animal one by one. Okay, in my list, we go 1 and 1 and 1 and 1 and 1. Okay, if animal is in memo list, okay, so if it's in this list, memo list, then add this list into my new list. Right now it's 0 or blank because we use the set to instantiate or initialize it. So if we print this, we should have cats and dogs and cows and humans. Did I say bats? Yeah, I might have missed out bats. But anyway, there are two statements that are, these are two statements that are very helpful in dealing with both for and while loop. These are break and continue. If break is encountered at any point while loop is running, the loop will immediately end. Okay, let's scroll this up. I is equal to 10, while true. If I is equal to 14, then break, meaning we'll jump out of it. Okay, so you should see that this will run and then it will break out altogether. Alright, so we'll start with 11 because we have 10. Start with this and add 1, print 1, or print I. Okay, so it goes all the way to 14 and then skip out because the break is executed. Likewise here, once you hit 2, it will break out. The continue statement would tell the loop to immediately end this iteration and continue on to the next iteration of the loop. And this is the continue. Let's run this. Okay, you have I equal to 0, while I is smaller than 5, add 1. Okay, so when we start running, add 1 and print I. There you go. And then you come back here, I becomes 1 plus 1, 2, and then once the next time around becomes 3, continue means you just skip this, don't print it, come back here. Alright, so we have 1, We have 2, next is 3 is that, and then we go to 4 and print 4. Okay, this loop skips printing the number 3 because of the continue statement that executes when we enter the if statement. The code never sees the command to print the number 3 because it has already moved to the next iteration. The break and continue statements are further tools to help you control the flow of your loops and, as a result, your code. Let me scroll this up. The variable that we use to iterate over a loop will retain its value when the loop exits. Similarly, any variables defined within the context of the loop will continue to exist outside it as well. So if we do this, okay, I transcend the loop, print I am eternal, so the loop string is I transcend the loop. Okay, when you print I persist, my value is this. What is this? This refers to I here is this. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the loop string is still I transcend the loop. Alright. And the last one is I persist. My value is the last one, which is 4. Okay, so within the loop itself, in the for loop, we loop from 0 to 4. Okay, which is what we did here. But once we leave the loop strings remain, they persist, and likewise the value I as well. We can also iterate over a dictionary, such as this one here. Let me store the value into my dictionary. For key in my dictionary, print the key itself. It will print all of these. Okay, what keys are these? The first name, the last name, and nemesis. Interestingly, last name, nemesis, first name. Oh, okay. It's printing it, except that it's printing it in the order, alphabetical order. Let me just add this, just so that you can see what actually happened, why they actually came out in that order. Notice the last, nemesis, and first name. How interesting. I'm not too sure if this is exactly the alphabetical order, but it seems to be organized that way. So we shall leave it at that. Very interesting. Okay, so if we just iterate over a dictionary without doing anything else, we will only get the keys. We can either use the keys to get the values like so, meaning my dictionary, which is this, my dictionary. And if you extract the key by doing the key itself, which is this one here. So let me just print that out. Okay, so you get the actual inside value. Or we can use the iter items function to get both key and values at the same time. So you get the key and also the value at the same time. The iter item function creates a tuple of each key value pair, and the for loop stores unpacks that tuple into the key value on each separate execution of the loop. Very, very handy.